guys, I want to analyze Ben Shapiro and his comments on transgenderism and see if his rhetoric is truly hateful hate speech or whether this is just an agenda the left regressives are pushing to assist their deceitful narrative. Objectivity is the goal here.
What exactly is the battle? I mean, self-definition is what you do, and my baby's doing it at 18 months old. I wasn't aware that you get a medal for it.
Self-definition is what you do. I wasn't aware you get a medal for it. I personally have labels. I love my labels because self-definition is important to our growth as human beings and placement in this world. I am Australian, label. I am a woman, label. I am an egalitarian, label. I am Latina, label. I am straight, label. So, Ben Shapiro is simply stating that Caitlyn Jenner has done something we all do, and that is called self-definition and does not warrant an award in his thinking. Where I disagree with Ben is that being trans is most likely not easy because coming out, when you've lived a lifetime one way and those foundations have already been set, to then have those foundations crumble to live in a completely altered version of the reality you once had would be extremely difficult to adapt to for everyone around you. And an argument could be made that if they never came out, then all of that would have remained intact. But they would then argue that they're not being authentic to themselves. To thine own self be true. Additionally, they most often have to come to terms with gender dysphoria, which is gender identity disorder. I doubt this is easy for any trans individual, but Caitlyn absolutely does not deserve the Courage Award for it.
Why are we mainstreaming delusion?
It's not delusion.
Why would you call it delusion?
Because Caitlyn Jenner, I'll call him Caitlyn Jenner.
No,
because
it's her. You're not being polite to the pronouns.
Because
disrespectful.
Okay, forget about the disrespect. Facts don't care about your feelings.
Why are we mainstreaming delusion? Facts don't care about your feelings. The second that transgenderism became a politicized issue, it was hailed as the newest civil rights movement of our time.
Yes, because I don't like the fact that transgender is politicized at all, because to me, it needs to remain a medical issue, a psychological issue, you know, an issue of neurology and shit. Like, it shouldn't be politicized at all. So if it is going to be politicized, I at least want like smart people advocating for it, and there just isn't.
And it is being glorified. It is the newest trend, and so the subsections of this new fad create newer terms for different genders like gender fluid and demi-boy, etc. This is what Ben Shapiro means when he states that it is now mainstream delusion because too many are willing to jump on the bandwagon of feelings rather than facts. Do other trans individuals disagree that they have a mental disorder? Let's see. Blair White with Jesse Lee Peterson and Liz Skochil with Jesse Lee Peterson.
And so you have accepted that your condition is a mental disorder?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of mental disorders. There's people with anxiety, people with like depression, people with anorexia. You know, people just live with it. You live with what you have, you know.
So for me, well, transsexuality is a combination of mental issues as well as biology. So when I was 5, I was trying to acclimate myself to being a boy, to being masculine, and it didn't fit for me.
These individuals are conservatives who are not afraid of the facts. If we were to view a trans individual who leaned left, Zoey Tur, prime example, we'd be going down the rabbit hole.
Chromosomes don't necessarily mean you're male or female.
Gender.
With gender
identity. Go ahead. No, so
especially, but even so, you have a thing like Klinefelter's syndrome. So you don't know what you're talking about. You're not educated on genetics.
So you don't know what you're talking about. You're not educated on genetics. I mean, straight off the bat, Zoe is coming in really insulting. This is a direct attack on Ben Shapiro's intelligence, and Ben is probably one of the smartest people today and a great representative for conservatives. as he is the master debater of our time. Look, I am no geneticist, doctor, or scientist, but your chromosomes absolutely dictate your sex. It is purely biological. One is not assigned a gender at birth. The indication lies in your genitals. Or to put it in the most basic terms,
boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Thanks for the tip.
Well, no, what are your genetics?
What are your genetics? Very basic question, right? Zoey Tur, formerly known as Robert Albert Turr, is faced with a difficult question here. Why? Because Zoey is genetically male and Zoey is fully aware of this fact. She does not have Klinefelter syndrome. I have documented Klinefelter syndrome, and this is an absolutely valid argument for transition, except that Zoey doesn't have the syndrome. Caroline Cossey, on the other hand, absolutely matches this criteria. Here she is in a series of interviews from the 90s explaining the fact that in terms of chromosomes, she was born with 3 X's and a Y.
About the mind, I'm talking about hormones and chromosomes. Your chromosome count, I'm sure, is quite in order. Mine wasn't.
What do blackouts have to do with being transsexual?
Blackouts?
Your mother said you had blackouts.
Blackouts was all to do with, you know, having hormone imbalances and being dizzy, a bit like the menopause.
Tell us about the testing that was done, just in terms of chromosomal makeup, though, and what you learned then about yourself.
Yes, during the course of the therapy that I had a chromosomal count and hormonal, and it was discovered that I was 3 X's and a Y. And
which means normally women are an X and a Y, women are 2 X's and men are an X and a Y. So you had 3 X's and Y's.
Which is sort of, I think they call it medically Mosaic, which is a sort of, you know, there's, I think it's 42 or something.
Ben Shapiro does not exactly acknowledge the validity of this argument, but the reason for that, I think, is not because he views it as a flawed argument, but more so because Zoey is claiming this as a blanket statement, as the reason every trans individual transitions. But Zoey is not medically Mosaic, which is why her response is hilarious to Ben Shapiro.
So I'd stay away from the genetics and back to the brain scans.
You cut that out now, or you'll go home in an ambulance.
You cut that out right now, or you'll go home in an ambulance. So, instead of appealing to logic and objectivity, Zoey resorts to threats and violence over what should be objective and unconfrontational. An emotional response. Ben's response is awesome.
Yeah, that seems mildly inappropriate for a political discussion.
No, I know. Well, wait, to be fair, but
mildly inappropriate for a political discussion.
Sorry, it's not rude to say that someone who's biologically a male is a male. Someone who's biologically male is a male.
Ben Shapiro absolutely knew that would be insulting. However, Ben has not gone out of his way to attack or defame the character of Zoey at all. Ben has indirectly insulted the fragility of a snowflake-minded trans individual. Under the guise of this program, however, there should exist the freedom to discuss these very issues. Otherwise, what other forum is there to engage in this exchange of ideas?
You have to deal with people like this, the hatred, the people that, you know, that come out against you and say...
We're calling you delusional. It wasn't hatred.
Yeah, that's hatred.
Okay.
This is just somebody that's
I don't hate you. I have sympathy for you. I feel terrible for you.
This portion really pisses me off. Zoey is insisting that Ben hates her. Ben does not hate Zoey or anyone. He is just blunt and states facts as facts. So this can be misconstrued, except that Ben reasserts that him calling trans people delusional is not hate, but an observation. Zoey, you cannot project what his emotions are when he is sitting next to you asserting his position.
No, you do hate. You're consumed with hatred. That is who you are. You're a little man.
You know me?
You're a little man.
You're consumed with hatred. That is who you are. You're a little man. Maybe the one throwing ad hominem attacks and pejoratives Ben's way is the hateful one, just through sheer observation of the facts set before us.
But I mean, that's okay. He can be whatever he wants. But the point is...
Right. That's what this is all about, isn't it?
It is. It is. But there's ramifications for hate speech. But the point is that...
Ramifications?
Let me finish.
Go ahead, finish, sorry.
little boy.
Zoe.
Okay.
Zoe. Let's keep the
I'm
conversation
sorry.
civil. It's all, everybody. Come on.
Buttons are being pushed.
Go ahead.
The biggest he, or he, or whatever you want to call Zoe in the world knows that, physically speaking, she can be quite threatening, and calling Ben Shapiro, a small Jewish gentleman, little boy, little boy, little boy, and then kind of giggling it off like my buttons are being pushed. That is not okay. It's just not okay. And everyone there is trying to pardon Zoe. It's like, well, you're more of a minority than the little Jewish guy, so to be fair, you know, Ben, you shouldn't have said what you said, even though you were threatened with violence and you could have possibly gone home in an ambulance and you're getting called little boy, and you're being attacked. We're going to favor the weird monstrosity She-Hulk that's sitting next to you.
Crunk will smash everyone!
That black men would enter, women's restrooms and rape them, and those claims were made, and now they're making it against people like me, and there's no documented case. I've searched, and you're more likely to have a problem, with a priest.
You know, Zoe, you're probably not wrong that a priest is more likely to rape a young child than a trans woman. But never say never, because it has now occurred, and everyone on the left said it wasn't a possibility until it is a possibility. Listen to this excerpt. The trial for Miguel Martinez, who goes by the name of Michelle, began on Monday. The Billings Gazette reported Martinez allegedly invited the young girl into the bathroom with him, where he allegedly fondled the girl's breasts and genitalia before penetrating her. The girl told police that it hurt inside, and she started to cry. The Casper Star Tribune reported. Nurses at a nearby medical center completed a sexual assault exam and found redness and abrasions on the girl's genitalia, according to the Gazette report. Martinez told police that the girl had been talking crap and dismissed the accusations as a publicity stunt, according to local reports.
For close to 15 months, I was screaming to anybody on air or off air that Donald Trump's mentally ill. The man is mentally ill. It's aggressive personality disorder.
Donald Trump is mentally ill. Okay. I'm not denying that as a possibility, but it is the pot calling the kettle black, don't you think? It's aggressive personality disorder. I think one trait of this disorder has been demonstrated beautifully by Zoe herself, plus the fact she has gender dysphoria.
You cut that out now, or you'll go home in an ambulance. You cut that out now, or you'll go home in an ambulance. Katie is the NBC News reporter following Donald Trump, almost as a kind of a fun look at this interesting, quirky candidate. And during that campaign, she herself was a target of his harassment.
Zoe. Boo-boo. President Trump treats all people the same. If he treats a woman badly, he will equally treat a man badly. Do you know what that is called? Equality. Equal opportunity. Have a look at this tiny montage.
You keep saying that Hispanics love you.
True.
And yes, you won the Hispanic vote in Nevada.
True.
But wouldn't that make you an unelectable candidate in a general election?
First of all, I don't believe anything Telemundo says.
You used to say that you love.
Number one. Number two.
Oh, if you become president, will a woman make the same as a man?
You're going to make the same if you do as good a job.
Property from an elderly woman.
Let me talk. Quiet.
How tough
a lot
is
of
it?
times, that's all of his donors and special interests out there.
Nobody You might say, you might talk, your politicians all talk, no action. I've been watching it all my life. You are all talk and no action. What I've seen up here, I mean, first of all, this guy's a joke artist and this guy's a liar. You have a combination.
This guy always goes.
You have a.
Okay, so I'm done with this subject. I'm getting a slight aneurysm. Before I finish up, check out Ben Shapiro completely destroying this SJW at a college Q&A regarding the subject of transgenderism. See you later, guys.
You are going to dictate to me that I'm supposed to pretend that men are women and women are men? No. My answer is no. I'm not going to modify basic biology because it threatens your subjective sense of what you are.
Okay, but you're still saying these kids should not be accepted because they don't really fit in either place? They can't just
I'm saying that the Boy Scouts have a standard. You must be a biological boy to be a Boy Scout. You have to be a boy to be a Boy Scout.
Where's that written, though? Okay.
In the name Boy Scouts.